Welcome to Chapter 5. We are now looking at taking our social media photo galleries and we're going to insert them actually into our template. To do this, you are going to need your template open for your responsive web page, and you're going to need your main.css. Also, you're going to open up your social gallery codes. So we're going to click on that because we're going to need those. So here is our social gallery codes. I'm going to run this really quick to make sure, yep, they're set up the way I want them. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Notepad++. We are going to select our table and we're going to copy this. And then I'm going to go to my template and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom after the paragraph. Yeah, we want it inside our aside section. So I'm going to hit enter twice. And I'm going to put in a div tag because I want more control of my table. So I am going to put in a div tag and I'm going to ID it as social. So I know that's my social media. And then I'm going to close out my div tag. So I have that set up. I'm going to save that. And then I am going to paste in my table. And I'm going to do this. I want to make sure all my HTML tags line up. So when I click on table, it's closing tag highlights, just like in the table row and in our TD tags. Then now that we have it in, we're going to save it and we're going to run that. And you're going to see that I have my table in there. Now, when I did this, I did not know how much space I was going to need. And I realize now I probably can get all four of mine horizontally across the page. That is easy to fix. I can go into my table and I'm going to take out the closing table row tag from my first row and then take out my opening TR tag for my second row. I'm just going to delete those. Oops. And then now this should be one row. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then I'm going to run it. And there it's all in one row. That's good. To tighten this up a little bit, I think I'm going to try to put in a BR tag at the end. We'll see how that does. That probably will tighten it up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I have to go back to my main. I'm going to exit out of my social gallery because I don't want to mess with that. I'm going to go into my main tag and I am going to put in my ID selector, which is social. And what I want to do is I want to center that table. I think it would look better if it's centered. So I am going to type in margin. And then I want my 0 pixel auto. You know what? I also want it to apply not only to that section, but I want it for it to apply to the table as well. So I have to put in my table tag or table selector as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. And then I am going to put a border radius in. And the reason why I'm putting a border radius in is that I want my icons to be, let's go back here. Right now they're square. I want them to look a little bit more rounded. So right now I'm going to put in my border radius and I'm going to click save. And what this should do, this should center my table. Yeah, it's centered now, but you notice my edges are not rounded. What I have to do is I have to go back to my table and inside my image tag, I am going to put in a ID selector that will target the social, right? So I'm going to do ID equals social. And then I am going to copy that. But before I do anything else, I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go in here and run it to make sure. Yes, notice that I have my rounded corners, which is good. Now I need to place it in front of each of my image tags. So I need to go in there and find them And then I'm going to, there's an image here. I'm going to look at the third one. Here it is here. And then right here. I'm going to save it. I run it. Notice now that they're all rounded, which is kind of nice. I like that. The last thing we're going to do is we're actually going to set up our headings. And to do that, we are going to use a couple of headers. We're going to actually group. So I have an H1 tag. I'm going to go down here and I have an H2 tag. So we're going to group those together because I want them to look the same. So I'm going to do H1, comma, space, H2, because to group them, you just put a comma in between them and it will apply to both of them. My font family will be David, and it's a serif. My color, I'm going to make that white. And then I'm going to add a text shadow because I want you to see what this is going to look like. I'm going to add a text shadow to my image. I'm going to do 2 pixels by 2 pixels. Then the color I'm going to give it is something like that. So I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to run it. Oops. I have my H1, H2, my font family, serif, my color, text, shadow, 2 pixel by 2 pixel, 72D. Oops, that should be a 1. Sorry. Now, hopefully that will solve that problem, but not showing up. Yeah, there we go. So now, if you notice, we have our text shadow. And so I have my website done. Make sure that you've added a body tag if you haven't done so yet. And then we have finished pretty much coding our template. Looking at our template, we have the banner, which will be consistent on every page. We have the nav bar, which will stay consistent on every page. We have the left column, the right column, which will stay consistent on every page. Social media should be on every page, and then our footer should be on every page. So now we have finished our banner. So I suggest that now that you stop the video and go back in and set up your social table and heading 1, heading 2 selectors, as well as input your div tag and your table. Check the spacing here, and thanks for watching and have fun.